Salem Speedway is usually a half-mile of high-banked asphalt, but today it's 300 feet of dirt. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Lucas Oil Pro Pulling League season as we pay tribute to one of the greatest sports stories ever, the Milan Miracle. And we've brought them all together here today, including members of the 1954 Milan Miracle basketball team here at Salem Speedway, one of the most famous half-mile bull rings in America. Hello, everybody. I'm Stephen Cox, and welcome to the Hoosier Classic. This is the next round of the Lucas Oil Pro Pulling Series, and today we have the two-wheel drive super modifieds, and my co-host, Doc Riley, is standing by to tell you about them.
Boy, you talk about horsepower. It's wrapped up in a package right here. The two-wheel drive class, the wheel standing class right here. Their engine limitation just south of 650 cubic inches. The big thing here, those front tires go up in the air, and the rear tires is how you steer with this class. You stab the brakes. This is a highly competitive class, and here at the Speedway, it's going to be a puller's nightmare to read the track. To find out more about that, let's go to the third member of our broadcast team. Here's Lisa Tatum.
Salem Motor Speedway is known typically for high banks and asphalt racing, but once a year they bring in 70 truckloads of dirt here in pit road to put on a truck and tractor pull. The lack of shade and the pavement underneath make moisture a big problem to keep into the track, and these concrete barriers also can make a driver such as myself nervous. If you were to go out of bounds, that could spell trouble. All in all, the ultimate goal, full.
Thanks, Lisa. We're joined now by our expert analyst, Claude Wood. And Claude, one of the important things to remember as we get Jared Nelson ready to hook is that this is a temporary surface. You don't have the advantage you have in some other areas where the dirt is there, and man, it's there to stay.
That's right, Stephen. Brought in 70 loads of dirt, and as the night goes on, moisture will not naturally come up from the surface, not as much as a regular dirt pulling surface. And the key, can you read the track?
The entire Nelson pulling team is here. This is Jared. His father Dale's here. His brother Jordan is here. He goes all the way over to driver's right. The red flag comes out, and that is nearly a full pull, 299.17 feet for Jared Nelson. That looks really sharp. Let's take another look at it, Claude.
Yes, Stephen, and first pull of the night. Now, every puller, if they're smart, they will be watching Going to School on Jared's run. He started out right in the middle of the track. As you can see right here, the track naturally pulled him over just a little bit, driver's side right.
Everything looked right and tight there, man. Looked like a pretty good pass.
Well, I don't know. I wasn't too enthused about being number one, but there wasn't much we could do. So I don't know. There's a lot of tough trucks back there, but it might hold up. But I'd say there'll be a bunch by there.
What'd you think about the run?
It was a little rough at the start, but it seemed like it hooked all right and got going, but it was a little rough out of the hole.
Now we come back with Davey Skinner. Davey does not pull every event, so it may be a little bit tough to get the feel for this track, but what a beautiful truck.
It is, and Stephen, I'm old enough to remember back to the American muscle car days. Listen to this baby purr.
But look at him go driver's left. He is all the way on the other side of the track, and it comes out to a 281.32, so not near the result that Davey was hoping for. And now Lisa Tatum has thrown down the microphone, grabbed her helmet, and she's behind the wheel of Full Throttle.
And Stephen, another one of the families involved in pulling, the family pulling team, is alive and well here tonight.
So Lisa heads down the 300-foot stretch looking for a bite. She will take the right center of the track and come up a little bit short, 272.12 feet. So that has to be a bit of a disappointment for her as the rest of the field takes a shot at Jared Nelson. Now let's run down with Doc Riley, who's standing by with Lisa.
We made a change over the winter. We tightened my clutch up quite a bit. I didn't realize, I guess, how loose it was all last year. And I think it's just going to be, I'm going to put myself back on a learning curve as far as driving goes because I was really a little too aggressive out there.
Well, everyone has said that this track probably needs quite a bit of aggressive work right there, so you probably weren't too far off.
Yeah, I don't know, but I think sometimes, depending on your driving style, you have to match your setup and your gear accordingly, and I think I missed the mark.
If you had it to do all over different, what would you do?
I guess put a different driver in there.
So Jared Nelson is on top of the field right now. More pulling from the Heartland at Salem Speedway in just a moment. coverage of the Lucas Oil Pro Pulling League is brought to you by Lucas Oil, the world leader in heavy-duty and high-performance lubricants. And by Dixie Chopper, the world's fastest lawnmower. Earlier today, Lisa Tatum caught up with the Lucas Oil Keep the Shine Alive award winner. It was the Long brothers.
When I think of the two-wheel drive class, I think of the Long brothers out of Glasgow, Kentucky. With two good-looking trucks and a track record to match, they sure have become a threat in our class. Ricky, what have you been doing over the winter to get ready for the season?
Mostly just fine-tuning. What we did last year and the year before, we just kind of fine-tuned, went through everything, and trying to start out brand new for this year.
Well, after a season like last year, I guess you really don't have to do a lot to get out there and have some wins.
Oh, the competition level that's out there today, you better be working every day and a lot of nights.
You've had two trucks in the same class for quite a while. Do you think that's advantageous?
Definitely, Lisa. We've had two trucks for 10 years or so, and you get twice the information, and the more runs you make, you get a lot of learning, and makes you a quick learner.
Yeah, and I think of the two, Keith's is probably the newest. What kind of changes have you been making?
Well, we've got a new chassis. We've got a new Minor Brothers motor on it with a K11 from Cabelco, and we're definitely going to try to step our program up this year and go our fifth points chase.
Yeah, and what do you got going as far as fuel for those don't know and cubic inches?
Well, it's 557 on alcohol.
Two good-looking trucks, both on and off the track.
And Lisa, it's just a huge advantage for Ricky Long to run two trucks out here. Claude, comment on that a little bit. Keith used to drive one of them, and now he's relegated to crew chief status.
And what an awesome responsibility that is, because the whole setup of the truck, that has so much to do with it. I know the driver is important, but boy, it better be set up.
You're going to need a full pull to make this happen, and he's not going to get it 286.67 feet for Ricky Long. Now, he will have another opportunity in the other Long truck called Willie Make It in a few moments. But take a look at this one, Claude, and tell us what happens, or in this case, what didn't happen.
It's pretty bouncy right off the starting line. Looks like, Stephen, the first 50 feet is pretty rough out there. Back tires coming up.
Danny Sullivan up next. His brother Wayne will pull a little bit later in this event. So another two-truck team, and that is a huge advantage in that they have an opportunity to trade information. Danny can go back to Wayne and say, look, here's what I found on this track. Here's what you want to do tonight.
Yeah, and part of that is, will he listen to what his teammate tells him?
269.7 feet? I'd say no. Wayne probably won't listen.
Not in that case.
Dan Walsh is up next on Irish Challenger. They're out of Linden Station, Wisconsin, so they pulled quite a ways south to get down here, and he is awfully rough out of the hole. Look at the back tires. He does not have too much pressure in them. They're simply not getting a good bite because the track is rough.
That's true, and he did the right thing coming off the starting line. He eased into it as the RPMs came up, let the clutch out slowly.
It's been a really nice day out here. Perfect short sleeve weather in south central Indiana. However, for the pullers, it's been a little bit tougher. Let's check in with Doc Riley trackside.
A beautiful night in southern Indiana. Temperatures right about 75 degrees. The setting sun. One thing that's happened is this track may be going away. You kind of see the glisten and the gleam that comes up at the very top. That's the water that's working its way back up. Sometimes, especially for this class, that spells not distance. Jared Nelson leads the class with just a little bit shy of 300 feet at 299 and some change. That may hold on to be the winner. Now back up to Stephen Cox in the booth.
And Claude, as Jason Gibson now hooks, I think Doc is onto a very good point because we've seen diminishing returns from this track ever since Jared Nelson pulled right out of the gate.
It does seem that the track is slowly going away, and we mentioned this is a difficult track to figure out, but I want to point out right here, if you think this track looks narrow, it is. It's only 40 feet wide.
And you can see Jason on that last pull trying to find a bite. And I want to know where Stan goes on this track because he is a veteran. He's been around for a long time. He knows this business inside out. And I want to find out where he goes on the track. The best bite we've seen so far has been driver's right.
And you can see the tracks behind the sled. He started out in the middle of the track, but didn't exactly end up that way.
Yeah, 260.11 is going to be a big disappointment for Stan. And I want to find out if another veteran, Wayne Sullivan, was watching Stan's line to see what he did because this guy is a good track reader.
He has been around so many years, and experience really the key to reading a track, as all tracks are so different.
Let's see what he comes up with. 288.79, and relatively speaking, that's actually a very good run. Remember, nobody's touched this since Jared Nelson's 299, and he was the first pull of the day.
Wayne Sullivan setting the sled up, driver's right, looking for that extra little bit of traction. Did it pay off?
It paid off with a lot of ground speed, and that translated into what is so far a second-place run for Wayne Sullivan. He and Ricky Long are chasing Jared Nelson. And remember, Ricky Long will have another shot at this thing. He'll be in Willie Make It when we come back to Salem Speedway. Welcome back to Salem, Indiana, where basketball is sacred. And 20 years ago, a movie called Hoosiers was inspired by these guys.
When you talk Indiana, you talk basketball. And when you talk basketball, the conversation always comes back around to a small school back in the early 1950s that did what no one had done before, and no one has really done since.
Bobby Brown dribbling, 6 seconds. Clock going down. John shoots from the circle. Scores! Now 1 second. The game's over. Milan wins.
It has been dubbed the Milan Miracle, and here we are. The gentlemen who put it all together right here, working together as a team, being honored tonight here at Salem Speedway as we celebrate another great Hoosier pastime, that truck and tractor pulling. Again, it's been a great number of years. What does it kind of mean growing up in Indiana?
I think the movie Hoosiers really showed how important basketball was to the Midwest, especially when Gene Hackman, the coach in that, Norman Dale says, let's go win this one for all the small schools who never had a chance to be here, and I think we represented that.
I think you did as well. Growing up as a young man in Indiana and being kind of saddled with this legacy, has that been special throughout your entire life?
Well, it has made a lot of difference, without a doubt. If you want to know how special, you ought to talk to my wife over there.
And a very politically correct answer. You know, a lot's been made, Hoosiers, and now we celebrate an anniversary there right now. But what do you see as the future for Indiana youngsters?
Well, I think they can still have the opportunity to grow up, do their best, shoot for a goal that was established a long time ago, even though it's being done a little differently with class basketball. They can still do the very best they can. So it's great for them.
A championship is a championship no matter how you crown it, but here's a guy that knows a little bit about it. Okay, here's the answer. You probably answered it 100 times, this question. But how accurate was the movie in those closing seconds as it was, as you remember it, back in '54?
Well, I remember it very well from back in 1954 in the closing seconds. In fact, we were invited to a sneak preview before the premiere, and Angelo Pizzo called me over afterwards, and he said, Bob, I got 2 questions. Did you like the movie? And I said, I loved it. He said, did we get the last 18 seconds correct after the ball? I said, and that is exactly the way it occurred. Only Jimmy was a little bigger, better looking, and could shoot better than me. That's what I told him today.
Hey, congratulations. You know, as we grow up here as Hoosiers, we think racing and we think basketball. Isn't it special to be born in Indiana, live in Indiana, go to high school in Indiana, and kind of set your mark in Indiana?
Well, of course, it's the greatest state for high school basketball in the nation, and to be a part of that and a historical part of that is very special, and it's going to be special for the people who have followed us as long as they do their best and accomplish what they're capable of accomplishing.
Ronald, there's an awful lot of memories from that time, but what about the guys that you played with? That's got to be a very special bond.
Well, we've remained friends throughout all of these 52 years that we've had. We were friends then, and we still are.
And you'll notice none of them mention class basketball. Nobody wants to touch that one with a 10-foot pole. Hey, let's get back to some raw horsepower right now. Mike Zeising is up next in All Jacked Up out of Georgetown, Kentucky.
Of course, Stephen, this is the first pull of the year, not only for Mike Zeising, but for everybody here. Now, They will need to take information back. Everyone won't win here tonight, but they can take information back like what happened right there.
Exactly. What blew? Something went off big time after 231 feet for Mike, and that's going to be a huge problem for him. Let's take a look again and see if we can tell what happened early in this run, Claude.
Coming off the line, everything looks to be fine. Straight right down the center of the track. No bouncing, no going to the left or right, but obvious something exploded and gave away.
Extreme pleasure. Tony Tatum is up next. Tony, the father of Lisa, who has already run earlier today. He's going to look for 299 feet plus. Essentially, you need a full pull to take home a win from Salem.
And we've mentioned pretty rough on the starting right there in the first 50 feet. But I want to say the track crew has done an excellent job. It's just when you put dirt on asphalt, you don't know what's going to happen.
Well, it's a temporary surface, so these guys have to work overtime, and the Lucas Oil crew is doing a very, very good job at it. And you'll notice that Tony Tatum took a pretty central line right there as we're looking at Ricky Long's Willie Make It. He's coming up next, and look how far to driver's left he starts.
He is away over there, and for a long time I have really enjoyed watching this truck and Ricky drive it. Just love the throwback to the 50s.
He'll stop at 274 feet. Lisa Tatum talked with the R&L Carrier Best Engineered Award winner earlier today.
The Nelson name is something you're going to hear a lot of here in pulling, and especially in the two-wheel drive class. They've been pulling for generations, and they're a family that works together and they play together. We caught up with Dale Nelson in the pits.
When it comes pull time, we help each other. Basically on our own, getting there and home, but after that, when we get here, it's a family deal. So,
how long have you been pulling?
This is my 9th season.
9th season driving, and do you all still share information between the teams here, or do you try to keep it all to yourself?
No, we all share. It's a multi-team, multi-person team, and we all share information. We don't hold out anything.
Now be honest, do you want to go out there and beat everybody, or do you try to let the person after you catch up?
We always want to win, but if I'm in the lead and my brother's behind me, I won't withhold any information.
Now you've got 2 kids. Do you see your pulling career coming to an end here in a little while?
No, I got a wife, and my kids love it just as much as I do, so that helps out.
Now, how long have you been driving?
This is the start of my 2nd year.
And who is your teacher, more your brothers or your dad?
I'd say more my brothers.
Do y'all share any strategy or anything, or when you do well, do you try to keep it to yourself?
No, usually we all share, just have someone do good.
Be honest with me, who would you rather win, you or your brother?
I would.
Jordan, tell me a little bit more about your truck. Tell me about the cubic inches, body style.
I drive a 1996 Ford full-size 557 Keith Black Hemi.
And what do you do in your spare time when you're out here playing with trucks?
I play basketball, run track, and go full riding.
Now, have you graduated high school yet?
No, senior.
Senior year. So are you trying to pick up the chicks with the pulling trucks or what?
Yeah, I'm trying.
And multi-truck teams hold down the first 3 slots in the super modified 2-wheel drive division. It's tough on the solo guys, but one of them, Bob Martin, will try it when we come back to Salem Speedway in Indiana next. Back in Salem, Indiana, his brother Jared Nelson leads the standings right now. Brother Jordan Nelson on Midnight Madness out of Altamont, Illinois, will now make his bid. And you remember, his brother went to driver's right after trying to study and figure out this track, and it looks as if Jordan will do the same, Claude.
And we heard in the interview, yes, they share information. Well, maybe not that kind of information.
That's going to be a disqualification. Jordan easily out of bounds, and I have to think that was a driver error. In fact, he slammed the steering wheel there toward the end. I don't know if we'll get a chance to look at that again or not, but Jordan was pretty upset here.
Well, let's watch him coming off the starting line. Looks like at about maybe 50 feet out, right there where he heads right. Maybe he hit the brakes just a little too hard right there.
Remember, it's rear brakes only, and now look inside the driver's cockpit, and Jordan knows that this one's gone south. Daggone it. Stan Shelton is coming up next on Sawmill Express.
I have always loved the stance of this truck. It is sleek, it is low to the ground, and look at the graphics. I mean, this thing just jumps out right at you.
Stan was also out earlier on Cutting Edge. And remember, this is a brand new truck. Tonight's smooth run, but he's going to have to go 300 feet for a win, and he's nowhere near it. 275.39 feet for Stan Shelton. We take another look at it, Claude, and moisture here and reading this track has been everything tonight.
And that is the key to the whole thing, successfully reading the track. You look at Stan, he set up right in the middle of the track, and he stayed pretty much there the entire pull. You can see the tracks behind him. He went straight, just not far enough.
Up next is a solo artist, Bob Martin on Grim Reaper. Out of Missouri, he'll come up, make the hook. Try to come up with a pull at least 299 feet plus. That's what's going to take. And remember, solo guys like Bob, they have no opportunity to get any information, no data.
Other than watching other pullers go before him. Has he learned anything?
The air pressure on the rear tires is absolutely key, as is a very light touch on those rear brakes. That is the normal method of steering these machines, not so much with the steering wheel, but with the rear brakes. And Bob Martin will come up with a 270-foot pull, just a touch under that. And that is really not a bad pull for Bob at all.
And again, he, like Stan Shelton before him, has set up in the middle of the track. And you see as he eases into it, get the RPMs built up, the tire speed moving. Look at that front end. Just a little bit of bouncing, a little more toward the end of the track.
And that is good for a top 10 finish for Bob Martin. And now we take a few moments to talk with Doc Riley and Jared Nelson in the winner's circle. Doc?
You know, sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. First out of the gate, and I didn't think really, to be honest with you, you had a chance. Do you think you had a chance?
No, I didn't. I sure thought there would have been at least half a dozen past me. This is a tough class. You can't ever outdo anybody, and it was just luck of the draw tonight.
And that typically doesn't happen. I mean, being number one out of the box really puts you at a disadvantage.
No, every place is different. You never know until you get there and hook. And like I said, I sure didn't think number one would be the spot to be, but it was tonight.
And number one puts you leading the points right now.
Yeah, that's a real good plus.
Does that put any more pressure on you, or you just kind of look at every pull as the next pull?
You just got to look at pull to pull, go with the flow. You can't ever look too far ahead because that's about time something goes wrong.
Well, you know what? Great pull tonight. Your brother did pretty well, other than the out-of-bounds type thing, but for the old team, not too bad.
Yeah, I just like to thank Lucas Oil, Dixie Chopper, R&L, everybody. It put on a real good show. It was a real good first pull for us.
Hey, what about the old man? Did he give you any guidance in this deal? Do we need to give him any props?
Oh, yeah. We chit-chat back and forth all the time, and before I ran, he told me some pointers, and before my little brother ran, I gave him some back. And, oh, yeah, we trade information all pull along.
Congratulations.
Thanks a lot.
Well, Jared's a happy guy, but you know, Claude, we talk a lot about the multi-truck teams having big advantages. In many cases, they do. But here you have Jared finishing first and his brother finishing dead last.
Wouldn't you love to just go to some of the family reunions and listen to some of the sibling rivalry that will come out there?
So as we head into next week, Jared Nelson enjoys a 2-point edge over Ricky Long and 4 points over Tony Tatum as we go into round 2 of the Lucas Oil Champions Tour, which will occur, by the way, on Sunday, December 10th, the broadcast time at 12 noon Eastern time here on ESPN2. We will look forward to seeing you there. Our thanks to the Indiana High School Athletic Association for the video from 1954 of that Milan miracle that we were able to bring you. In the meantime, I'm Stephen Cox for Doc Riley, Lisa Tatum, and Claude Wood. Thanks for joining us. The Lucas Oil Champions Tour is a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports.